The mop moved across the floor in steady strokes, leaving clean streaks on the metal surface. Day One had been cleaning floors for 8 years now, and his movements had become automatic. He could clean an entire corridor without thinking about it. His mind wandered to other things while his hands did the work. The Harmony's Edge space station was massive. It housed thousands of beings from hundreds of different species. Day One was just one of the humans who worked here. Humans did the simple jobs: cleaning, carrying boxes, fixing broken things. The other species in the Galactic Union were stronger, smarter, or had special powers. Humans had none of that. They were considered the weakest species in the galaxy. Day One didn't mind his job. He found peace in the quiet work. While everyone else rushed around doing important things, he moved through the station like a ghost. Nobody really noticed janitors. That was fine with him. He noticed everything, though. He saw the traders making secret deals in dark corners. He saw the security officers taking bribes. He saw couples meeting in places they shouldn't. The Invisible Man saw it all. His shift was ending. The station's artificial sun was dimming to create the night cycle. Day One put his mop and bucket away in the supply closet and headed to the locker room. The human workers area was in Section K, deep in the lower levels of the station. The rooms here were small and cramped. The air recyclers made a constant humming noise. But it was home. The locker room was empty. Most workers had left an hour ago. Day One preferred coming late. He enjoyed the silence. He walked to his locker, number 247, and pressed his thumb against the scanner. The lock clicked open. He froze. Inside his locker sat an egg. But this was not any normal egg. It was the size of a basketball, and its surface looked like it was made of crystal. Colors swirled inside it, deep purples, bright blues, and flashes of silver. The egg was warm. He could feel heat radiating from it, even though he stood a foot away. A soft humming came from inside it, like a song without words. Beside the egg was a piece of paper. Real paper, not a digital screen. Day One's hands shook as he picked it up. The writing was done by hand, in universal script that anyone could read. They will kill it because of what it represents. You will protect it because of who you are. Trust your instincts. The egg has chosen you. A friend you haven't met yet. Day One's heart pounded in his chest. He looked around the empty locker room. No cameras here, they had broken months ago, and nobody bothered to fix them in the human areas. He looked back at the egg. His mind raced through everything he knew about alien species and their biology. Then it hit him. He knew what this was. A void dragon egg. His breath caught in his throat. Void dragons were extinct. Everyone knew the stories. 10,000 years ago, before the Galactic Union existed, void dragons had been the guardians of the galaxy. They were massive creatures that could fly through space without ships. They were wise and powerful and fair. Then they vanished. Nobody knew why. Most people thought they were just legends now. But Day One had read the old files in the station's library. He spent his free time reading because there wasn't much else to do. The files said void dragons were real. They also said possessing any part of a void dragon, living or dead, was illegal. The Galactic Council had declared them weapons of mass destruction. Anyone caught with void dragon material would be executed immediately. Day One heard footsteps in the hallway. The security drones would scan this area in 15 minutes. They did it every night, at the same time. If they found the egg, questions would be asked. Day One would be arrested. The egg would be destroyed. He reached out and touched the egg's surface. It was warm and smooth. The moment his fingers made contact, the colors inside swirled faster. The humming grew louder. Ripples moved across the surface like waves on water. The egg was responding to him. Something deep inside Day One stirred, an instinct he didn't know he had. This egg was alive. It was precious. It was innocent. And someone had trusted him to protect it. He didn't hesitate anymore. Daewon took off his jacket and wrapped it around the egg. It was heavy, but not as heavy as he expected. He cradled it against his chest, like a baby. The warmth spread through his body. For a moment, he felt something strange, like another heartbeat matching his own. The footsteps in the hallway grew louder. Daewon closed his locker and walked toward the back exit. He moved casually, like he always did. Just another tired janitor heading home. The security drone turned the corner just as he left. Its scanning beam swept across the empty locker room. Daewon's quarters were tiny, 3 meters by 4 meters. Just enough space for a bed, a small desk, and a storage unit. A single window showed the stars outside. He locked the door and placed the egg on his bed. The crystal surface glowed softly in the dim light. He sat down and read the note again. The egg has chosen you. What did that mean? How could an egg choose anyone? And who had left it in his locker? Who was this friend he hadn't met? Daewon looked at the egg for a long time. He thought about reporting it. That would be the safe thing. The smart thing. He could take it to station security right now. He could claim he found it and didn't know what it was. They might believe him. They might let him go, but they would destroy the egg. He knew that with absolute certainty. He thought about the note's words. They will kill it because of what it represents. What did a void dragon represent? Old power? Old ways? Freedom? He didn't know. But someone out there wanted this creature to live. Someone had risked everything to save it. And that someone had chosen Daewon to be its protector. Why him? He was nobody. Just a janitor. He had no power, no influence, no special skills. He cleaned floors for a living. What could he possibly do to protect something so valuable and dangerous? The egg hummed softly on his bed. The colors swirled gently now. Like it was content. Like it felt safe. Daewon made his decision. He pulled the storage unit away from the wall. Behind it was a maintenance panel that accessed the station's inner workings. Pipes and wires ran through the walls. He had fixed things back here before, when maintenance was too lazy to come to the human sections. He cleared out a space between 2 large pipes and carefully placed the egg inside. He wrapped it in his spare blanket first. The space was warm from the pipes. The egg seemed to like it. He put the panel back and pushed the storage unit against the wall again. Nobody would find it unless they tore his room apart. And why would they? He was just a janitor. Daewon lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling. His whole life had just changed. He didn't understand why or how, but he felt something he hadn't felt in 8 years of cleaning floors and being invisible. He felt like he mattered. Behind the wall, the egg hummed its peaceful song. And somewhere, in the vast station, someone watched and smiled, knowing they had chosen correctly. The janitor would protect the dragon, and in time, the dragon would change the janitor's life forever. 3 days passed like a strange dream. Daewon went to work each day and cleaned floors like always. He smiled and nodded at the other workers. He emptied trash bins and scrubbed walls. On the outside, everything was normal. But inside, his mind never left that egg hidden behind his wall. Every night he checked on it. The egg was growing warmer. The colors inside swirled faster. Sometimes he thought he could see shapes moving in there. A curve that might be a wing. A point that might be a horn. He would sit beside it for hours, just watching. The humming sound had become familiar to him now. It was almost like a lullaby. On the 3rd night, Daewon woke suddenly. Something felt different. The air in his room was crackling with energy. His skin tingled. He jumped out of bed and pulled away the storage unit. The egg was shaking. Thin cracks appeared across the crystal surface. Light leaked through the cracks, bright, pure light that made him squint. The humming had become a high-pitched sound that he felt in his bones. Daewon watched, hardly breathing. A piece of shell fell away. Then another. Tiny claws pushed through the opening. The egg broke apart in chunks of crystal that dissolved into sparkles of light as they hit the floor. And there she was. The dragon was small, about the size of a cat. Her scales looked like liquid starlight. They shifted between silver and deep purple and midnight blue. Her eyes opened, and they were the color of galaxies, filled with swirling stars. Those ancient eyes looked at Day One, and he felt something snap into place inside his mind. Suddenly, he wasn't alone in his head anymore. Images flooded his thoughts. Not words, but feelings and pictures. He saw vast stretches of space. He felt the loneliness of being the last. He understood that this creature had been waiting in that egg for a very long time. Waiting for someone. Waiting for him. The dragon chirped a sound like crystal bells. She stumbled on wobbly legs toward him. Day One knelt down and held out his hand. She climbed into his palm, warm and surprisingly light, her tail wrapped around his wrist. Those galaxy eyes stared into his. "Hello," Day One whispered. "I'll call you Biol. It means star." The dragon Biol made a pleased sound. Through their connection, Day One felt her approval. She liked the name. Over the next few hours, he learned to understand the bond between them. Biol couldn't speak in words, but she could send him feelings and pictures. He could feel her emotions as clearly as his own. Right now, she was happy and curious and hungry. Day One fed her some of his protein rations. She ate eagerly, making happy chirping sounds. As she ate, more images came to his mind. He saw scientists in white coats studying her egg. He saw security guards arguing. He saw someone he couldn't see, their face wrapping the egg in cloth and running through dark corridors. Biol showed him why she existed. Void dragons were not just creatures. They were bonds. They chose partners based on what was inside a person's heart. They could only bond with beings who had pure intentions, people who wanted to help others, who had strong spirits, who would do the right thing even when it was hard. The Galactic Council knew this. They knew that void dragons were judges of character, and they feared it. Because if void dragons chose partners, those partners would have power. Real power. The kind that couldn't be controlled or bought, so the Council had hunted them down. They claimed void dragons were dangerous. They said the dragons were weapons. But really, the Council just wanted to eliminate anything that could challenge their authority. Biol was the last. Her egg had been in a research facility where they planned to destroy it. Someone had stolen her and brought her here. That someone had watched Day One for months through the station's cameras. They had seen his kindness to others. They had seen him help an alien child find her mother when everyone else ignored her cries. They had seen him share his food with hungry workers. They had seen who he really was, and they had known the egg would choose him. Day One felt tears on his cheeks. He had spent 8 years thinking he was nobody, just a janitor that people looked through like glass. But this ancient creature had chosen him. Someone had trusted him with the most precious thing in the galaxy. A knock on his door made him jump. Biol darted behind the bed. "Day One? You in there?" It was Hana's voice. Hana was a shuttle pilot who delivered supplies to the station. She was the closest thing Day One had to a friend. They had meals together sometimes and talked about old Earth movies. He trusted her. But could he trust her with this? He opened the door a crack. Hana stood there with a bag of food. "Brought you some real vegetables from the last supply run. Thought you might like something that doesn't come from a synthesizer." "Thanks," Day One said, taking the bag. He tried to close the door, but Hana frowned. "You okay? You look stressed." "And? Nest. I'm fine, just tired." Hana's eyes narrowed. She had always been good at reading people. "You're a terrible liar, Day One." She pushed past him into the room. "Wait, don't." Hana stopped. Biol had poked her head out from behind the bed. The dragon and the pilot stared at each other. "Tell me that's not what I think it is," Hana whispered. Day One closed the door. "I can explain. That's a void dragon." Hana's voice was barely audible. Do you know what they'll do to you if they find it? Do you know what they'll do to all of us? Her name is Bile. I don't care what her name is. Day 1. They'll execute you. They'll probably space everyone in Section K, just to make a point. Bile crawled out fully. She looked at Hana with those deep eyes. The dragon chirped softly. Hana's angry expression slowly faded. She knelt down, hand outstretched. She's beautiful, Hana breathed. Bile sniffed her hand, then rubbed her head against Hana's palm. The pilot laughed a shocked, delighted sound. She's really real. She bonded with me, Day 1 said quietly. I can feel her thoughts. She can feel mine. Hana looked up at him. The old stories say they only bond with people who have good hearts. I'm not special. I'm just a janitor. Maybe that's exactly why she chose you. Hana stood up. Her face was serious now. Okay. We need to figure this out. She's going to grow. Right? How fast? As if answering, Bile stretched. Her body seemed to shimmer. When the shimmer faded, she was noticeably larger now, the size of a medium dog. Fast, Day 1 said. Really fast. Then we have maybe a week before you can't hide her anymore. Hana paced the small room. We need to get you off this station. How? Every ship is tracked. Every person is scanned. I can get access to a shuttle. But I'd need clearance codes. And we'd need to time it perfectly. Hana stopped pacing. There's something else. Crom. Station Commander Tae-sung announced this morning that they're looking for contraband genetic material. Someone must know the egg is here. Day 1's blood went cold. They're looking for her, which means we have less time than I thought. Hana grabbed his shoulders. Listen to me. For the next few days, you need to act completely normal. Go to work, clean your floors, don't do anything different. I'll work on getting those clearance codes. Can you keep her hidden? Day 1 looked at Bile. The dragon looked back at him. Through their bond, he felt her determination. She would be quiet. She would be careful. They would protect each other. Yes, he said. We can do this. We can do this. Hana nodded. Good. I'll come back tomorrow night. She moved toward the door, then turned back. Day 1? You know this changes everything, right? Your whole life. You can never come back here. You'll be running forever. I know. And you're still going to do it? Day 1 looked at the small dragon sitting on his bed. She was watching him with those ancient, wise eyes. She trusted him completely. Someone he had never met had trusted him too. Maybe it was time he trusted himself. Yes, he said firmly. I'm going to do it. After Hana left, Day 1 lay on his bed. Bile curled up on his chest, purring like a cat. Through their bond, he felt her contentment. She felt safe with him. Tomorrow he would go back to cleaning floors. He would be invisible again. But now, he had a purpose. Now, he had someone who needed him. The janitor and the dragon. Together, against the whole galaxy, he smiled in the darkness. Maybe he had never been nobody after all. The station was changing, and Day 1 could feel it. Something was wrong in the air. Security patrols had doubled. Officers questioned people in the hallways. The announcement system kept repeating the same message about reporting suspicious activity. Bile was growing faster than he had expected. Each morning she was bigger. By the 4th day, she was the size of a large dog and could barely fit behind the storage unit. Her presence was affecting the station in strange ways. When she was awake, the lights in his room flickered. Electronic locks sometimes refused to work. His digital clock displayed random numbers. Day 1 went to work each day trying to look normal. It was the hardest thing he had ever done. Every time he saw a security officer, his heart raced. Every time someone looked at him, he wondered if they knew. But nobody paid attention to janitors. He remained invisible. On the 5th morning, things got worse. Day 1 was cleaning Corridor 7 when he saw them. Security teams were going door to door in Section K. They were scanning every room with handheld devices. His hands tightened on the mop handle. They were getting close to his quarters. He pulled out his communication device and sent Hana a quick message. "They're searching Section K. Need help now." The reply came seconds later. "Meet me at waste processing. Level 9. 20 minutes. Day 1 abandoned his mop and headed back to his room. His mind raced. How could he move Biol without being seen? She was too big to hide under a jacket now. He found 2 people waiting in his room when he arrived. His heart nearly stopped until he recognized them. Minho was an engineer who maintained the life support systems. G1 was a medic in the human clinic. He had seen them around but never really talked to them. "Don't be afraid," Minho said quickly. "Who are you?" "Friends. We know about the dragon." G1 pulled out a medical case. "We need to move her now. I have suppressors that will mask her energy signature for a few hours. But we need to go immediately." "How do you know about her?" Day 1 demanded. Minho smiled. "Because we've been waiting for something like this for a long time. We're part of a group called The Forgotten. There are more of us than you think. Humans who believe we're meant for more than cleaning floors and taking orders." Biol emerged from behind the storage unit. She had grown again overnight. Now she was the size of a small horse, and her scales shimmered with inner light. Both newcomers stared at her in awe. "She's magnificent," G1 whispered. Then she shook herself and got to work. She attached small devices to Biol's neck and chest. These will hide her energy readings. But they won't last long. "Where are we taking her?" Daewon asked. "The waste processing system," Minho explained. "It's the one place scanners can't read clearly. All the interference from the processing chemicals creates dead zones. She'll be safe there for a while." Through his bond with Biol, Daewon felt her fear. She didn't want to go to a dark, smelly place. But she also understood the danger. She trusted him to keep her safe. "It's okay," he told her softly. "Just for a little while." They moved through the maintenance tunnels that ran behind the walls of the station. These passages were narrow and dark. They were meant for repairs, not for people to walk through regularly. Daewon had used them many times during his work. Now, they were saving his life. Biol had to crawl on her belly to fit. Her claws scraped against the metal. Every sound seemed too loud. Daewon kept expecting alarms to go off. They were halfway to waste processing when they heard it. A mechanical whirring behind them. Red scanning lights swept the tunnel. "Security drones," Minho hissed. "Run." They ran. The tunnel was too narrow for proper running. They scrambled and crawled and pushed forward as fast as they could. The drones were faster. The red lights got closer. Biol suddenly stopped. She turned to face the drones. A low growl came from her throat. "No," Daewon shouted. "Don't." But it was too late. Biol opened her mouth and released a pulse of pure energy. The wave of power shot down the tunnel. It hit the drones and every electronic device within 50 meters. Everything went dark. The drones crashed to the floor, their systems completely dead. The 4 of them stood in darkness, breathing hard. Then, emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in a red glow. "They know where we are now," G1 said. "That energy pulse will have registered on every sensor in this section." "Keep moving," Minho ordered. "We're almost there." They reached waste processing 5 minutes later. The area was massive, huge tanks and pipes processing all the refuse from the station. The smell was terrible. The noise was deafening. But Minho was right. The scanners couldn't read anything clearly through all the interference. They found a space between 2 large tanks where Biol could hide. The dragon looked miserable. Her scales had lost some of their shine. She whimpered softly. "I'm sorry," Daewon said, stroking her head. "Just stay here. I'll come back for you. I promise." Through their bond, he felt her fear, but also her trust. She believed he would return. As they made their way back through safer corridors, Minho explained everything. The Forgotten started 30 years ago, he said. When humans first joined the Galactic Union, we thought we'd be equals. But we were placed in the lowest positions. Always the workers, never the leaders. Some of us started researching why. What did you find? Day One asked. The truth about our history. G1 answered. Humans and void dragons were ancient allies. Thousands of years ago, before humans evolved on Earth, our ancestors lived among the stars. We worked with the dragons to keep peace in the galaxy. Then something happened. Humans vanished. The dragons went into hiding. Nobody knows why. When humans evolved again on Earth and eventually reached space, Minho continued, the Galactic Council discovered our connection to the dragons. They found records in ancient ruins. They realized that if humans and dragons bonded again, they'd lose control. So they've been keeping us down, making sure we never realize our potential. Number 4. Tuman. Daewon's mind spun. That's why possessing a void dragon is illegal. Exactly. They're not weapons. They're proof of what we could be. Minho stopped walking and faced Daewon. Your dragon Biol, she chose you. Do you understand what that means? The old texts say dragons only bond with humans who have strength of spirit. Not physical strength. Character. Courage. Compassion. I'm just a janitor, Daewon said weakly. You're a man who risks his life to protect an innocent creature, G1 corrected. That's not just anything. They reached the main corridors of Section K. Security was everywhere. The team split up to avoid suspicion. Daewon returned to his cleaning duties, trying to look casual. An hour later, alarms blared throughout the station. Commander Taesung's voice came over the speakers. Attention all station personnel. We are now in full lockdown. A dangerous creature has been detected in Section K. All residents must remain in their quarters. Anyone with information about this creature will be rewarded. Anyone found hiding the creature will be executed immediately. Daewon's blood turned to ice. They knew. They knew Biol was here. His communication device buzzed. A message from Hana. They're planning to flush the waste processing system in 48 hours. Standard cleaning cycle. She'll die if she's still there. Another message from Minho. Emergency meeting tonight. Storage Bay 12. We have a plan. Daewon looked around at the station he had called home for 8 years. Security officers were everywhere now. Humans were being questioned aggressively. He saw fear on people's faces. Everything was falling apart. And it was all because of him and Biol. But as he thought about the dragon hiding in that dark, smelly place, trusting him to save her, Daewon felt something change inside himself. He had spent years being invisible, being nobody, accepting that humans were meant to serve, no more. Biol had chosen him. These people, the Forgotten, were risking their lives to help him. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. Maybe it was time to fight. That night, Daewon went to Storage Bay 12. He found 20 other humans waiting there. 20 humans who were tired of being nobody. 20 humans who were ready to do something impossible. Minho stood at the center of the group. We've been preparing for this moment for years, he said. We never knew what would trigger it. But now we know. A dragon has returned, and she chose one of us. That changes everything. What's the plan? Someone asked. Minho smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who had been patient for far too long. We're taking control of this station, he said. And then, we're leaving. All of us. Anyone who wants to come. We're done being servants. Around the room, faces hardened with determination. Daewon looked at these people. Janitors, engineers, medics, pilots. Simple humans doing simple jobs. The galaxy's weakest species, but he saw something else in their eyes now. Something that had been sleeping for a long time. They were waking up. And When humans woke up, the galaxy would tremble. The plan was dangerous and probably impossible. That's what made it perfect. Minho spread out a map of the station on a crate. His finger traced the key locations. There are 847 humans on Harmony's edge. We control life support, waste processing, most maintenance systems, and half the shuttle bay operations. We do all the work nobody else wants to do. That makes us invisible, but it also makes us essential. What about security? Hana asked. Kareth has 50 armed officers. Security depends on electronic systems, G1 said. Door locks, communication devices, weapon scanners, everything runs through the main computer. And who maintains the main computer? A thin man named Donghyun raised his hand. I do. I've been building a backdoor into the system for 3 years. They think I'm just fixing bugs. Daewon stared at these people with new respect. They had been planning this for years. They had been waiting for the right moment. And somehow, that moment had arrived, with him and Biol. Here's what happens, Minho said. Tomorrow at shift change, we take control of the 3 critical systems: life support, communications, and shuttle bay access. We broadcast the truth files about human history to every screen on the station. While everyone is distracted, we evacuate anyone who wants to leave. And Biol? Daewon asked. You get her out of waste processing before the flush cycle. Once we control the shuttle bay, Hana flies you both out first. You're the priority. No, Daewon said firmly. We all go together. Nobody gets left behind. Minho studied him for a long moment. Then, he nodded. Together, then. They spent the next few hours going over every detail. Who would do what? When? Where? It had to be perfect. One mistake, and people would die. Finally, the meeting ended. People dispersed quietly, heading back to their quarters. Daewon walked with Hana. You scared? She asked. Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. She paused. That dragon of yours. She's special. You know that, right? I'm starting to understand. No. I mean really special. I felt something when I touched her. Like hope. Like possibility. I haven't felt that in years. Daewon thought about Biol hiding in the dark, waiting for him, trusting him. She chose me. I still don't understand why. Maybe you're not supposed to understand. Maybe you're just supposed to be worthy of being chosen. Hana smiled. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we change the galaxy. But Daewon couldn't sleep. He lay in his empty room, feeling Biol's presence through their bond. She was scared but holding on. He sent her feelings of comfort and reassurance. Soon, he promised. Soon, they would be together again. The next day crawled by like torture. Day 1 cleaned floors. He emptied trash. He nodded politely to security officers who didn't see him. Every minute felt like an hour. Finally, shift change arrived. 6 in the evening. Station time. The moment when the day workers left and the night workers arrived. The brief window of chaos, when everyone was moving and nobody was paying attention. Day 1's communication device buzzed. A single word from Minho. Go. Everything happened at once. In the central computer room, Donghyun activated his backdoor program. Every screen on the station suddenly displayed the same thing: historical files that the Galactic Council had hidden for centuries. Images of ancient humans working alongside void dragons. Records of the partnership that had kept peace for thousands of years. Proof that humans were never meant to be servants. In the Life Support Center, Minho and his team locked down the controls. Nobody could override them now without shutting down oxygen to the entire station. In the communications hub, G1 broadcast a message to every device. Attention all humans, on Harmony's edge. Today we stop being invisible. Today, we remember who we are. Anyone who wants freedom, go to Shuttle Bay 7. Day 1 ran to waste processing. The facility was loud and dark and still smelled terrible. Biol! He called out. "Where are you?" A roar answered him. Not a small sound anymore. Biol had grown again. She emerged from between the tanks, and Day One gasped. She was huge, now the size of a cargo truck. Her scales blazed with light. Her wings, which had been tiny before, were now fully formed. She looked magnificent and terrifying. Through their bond, he felt her joy. She had been so scared in the darkness. But she had waited. She had believed he would come. "Let's get out of here," Day One said. They moved through the corridors together. People screamed when they saw Biol. Some ran. Some stared in shock. But the dragon didn't hurt anyone. She stayed close to Day One, protective and gentle. Security alarms were blaring now. The station had descended into chaos. Day One could hear shouting and running footsteps everywhere. They reached the central plaza, a large open area where 6 corridors met, and they walked straight into Commander Taesung and 50 security officers. Taesung stood at the front, his weapon raised. Karath, the reptilian security chief, stood beside him. Behind them, energy weapons were pointed at Day One and Biol. "It's over, janitor," Taesung said. His voice was cold. "Kill the creature. Take him alive for questioning." Day One felt Biol's rage through their bond. She could destroy all these people easily. One breath of her power, and they would be gone. "No," he said to her softly. "We're not killers." "How noble," Karath hissed. "Die with honor, then." The security officers raised their weapons. This was it. The end. Then something unexpected happened. Humans started arriving. They came from every corridor, from every direction. Janitors and engineers and medics and pilots. They came alone and in groups. They came with nothing but their determination, and they stood between the security officers and Day One. Hana was among them. "You'll have to go through us first." "Hundreds of us," Minho added, stepping forward. More humans kept coming. The plaza filled with them. Workers who had been invisible their whole lives, now standing together, refusing to hide anymore. Taesung's weapon wavered. He looked at his own people, humans like him, standing against him. "You're all traitors. You'll all die for this." "Maybe," G1 said calmly. "But at least we'll die free." On every screen around the plaza, the historical files played. Ancient humans and dragons flying together through space. The partnership that had brought peace to the galaxy. The truth that the Council had buried. Some of the alien security officers were watching the screens. Doubt showed on their faces. If humans had really been guardians once, what did that mean? What had the Council done? "This is your last chance," Karath said, but even his voice sounded uncertain now. Biol raised her head and roared. The sound echoed through the entire station. It was a sound that hadn't been heard in 10,000 years. A sound that spoke of ancient power and ancient partnerships. A sound that said, "We are here, we are real, and you cannot stop us." Something changed in that moment. Day One felt it through his bond with Biol, but he also saw it on the faces around him. The humans stood straighter. Their fear melted away. The dragon's roar had awakened something deep inside them, a memory they didn't know they had. A strength they had forgotten. "Stand down," said a voice from the back of the security group. Everyone turned. Taesung's second in command, a human woman named Kyung-soon, lowered her weapon. "I'm not shooting my own people for protecting something beautiful. You're relieved of duty." Taesung snapped. "Good." Kyung-soon walked past him and joined the group of humans around Day One. "I've been cleaning up the Council's lies for too long." One by one, the other human security officers lowered their weapons. They looked at Taesung with disappointment and shame, but they made their choice. They chose their people. Taesung stood alone now with only alien officers behind him. His face was pale. His hand shook. "You're making a mistake. All of you." "The only mistake," Hana said, "was forgetting who we are." Taesung looked at the crowd of humans. at the dragon standing with them, at the historical files playing on every screen. Something broke inside him. His weapon lowered. His shoulders slumped. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought following the council's rules would keep us safe. I was wrong." Said. Drum. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a data card. He threw it to Day One. "Command codes for the shuttle bay. Take everyone who wants to go. I'll delay the response as long as I can." "Why?" Day One asked. Taesung looked at Biol. "Because that dragon chose you. And if someone that magnificent sees worth in a janitor, maybe I've been blind to what we really are." He looked at his people. "Go. Be free. Show the galaxy what humans can really do." The evacuation happened fast. The Forgotten had planned well. Shuttles were prepped and ready. Humans flooded into the shuttle bay. Some had been waiting for this moment. Others made the decision in seconds. Not everyone left. Some were too afraid. Some still believed in the council's way. But hundreds made the choice. Day One stood at the shuttle bay entrance as people boarded. Hana was coordinating the launches. Minho was making sure everyone who wanted to leave could leave. Ji-1 was providing medical checks. Biol stood beside Day One, her massive form radiating warmth. Through their bond, he felt her satisfaction. This was right. This was why she had chosen him, not to hide forever, but to inspire others to be brave. The last shuttle was loading when station alarms blared again. Not security alarms this time. Emergency alerts. "Galactic Union ships incoming," Dong-hyun announced over the communications system. "We have 10 minutes before they arrive. Everyone on board now," Hana shouted. The last humans ran for the shuttles. Day One was about to board when he felt it. Through his bond with Biol, he sensed something. The dragon was showing him something important. "She needs to fly with us," Day One said. "Outside the shuttles. She'll protect us." "She can breathe in space?" Minho asked. Biol's answer was to walk to the airlock. She waited there, patient and ready. The shuttles launched. 20 small ships fleeing into the darkness of space, and flying with them, her scales blazing like a second sun, was Biol, the last void dragon, free at last. The journey took 3 days. 3 days of flying through space with minimal supplies and constant fear that Union ships would catch them. But Biol flew ahead, leading them through paths that no scanner could track. She knew ways through space that had been forgotten for thousands of years. Finally, they arrived. The planet appeared on their screens like a blue-green jewel. It had no name on official maps. It was hidden in a region of space that most ships avoided because of dangerous asteroid fields. But Biol had guided them through safely. "What is this place?" Hana asked over the communication channel. "Home," Minho answered. "New Haven. It's been here for 40 years. As the shuttles descended through the atmosphere, Day One saw it. A city built by human hands. Towers made of locally sourced materials. Fields of crops growing in neat rows. Solar collectors gathering energy. And people. They landed in a designated area where crowds had gathered to greet them. Day One stepped off the shuttle, and his legs nearly gave out. Real ground. Real air. Real freedom. Biol landed beside him with a earth-shaking thump. The crowd gasped and stepped back. Then, slowly, they began to clap. The applause grew louder and louder, until it was like thunder. An elderly woman pushed through the crowd. She was small and wrinkled, but her eyes were sharp and bright. "Welcome to New Haven," she said. "I'm Unji. We've been waiting for you." "How did you know we were coming?" Day One asked. "We've been monitoring the station for months. When we heard about a void dragon egg, we knew everything would change." Unji looked at Biol with tears in her eyes. "I never thought I'd live to see one." The old stories didn't do her justice. Over the next few days, Day One learned the truth about New Haven. 40 years ago, a group of humans had stolen ships and fled from Union control. They had found this hidden planet and built a new society. They had recovered ancient texts that the Council had tried to destroy. They had learned the real history of humans and dragons. We were the peacekeepers once, Unji explained as they sat in her garden. 15,000 years ago, humans lived among the stars. We partnered with void dragons to maintain balance in the galaxy. We weren't warriors or conquerors. We were guardians. We helped species resolve conflicts. We protected the innocent. We stood for justice. What happened to us? Day One asked. Nobody knows for sure. The records are incomplete. There was some kind of catastrophe. Humans vanished from the galaxy. The dragons went into hiding. Waiting. Eventually, humans evolved again on Earth, starting over with no memory of what we had been. And when we reached space again, the Council found out. Exactly. They found ruins on dead worlds, records in ancient languages. They realized that if humans and dragons bonded again, we would challenge their authority, not through war, but through being better. Through reminding the galaxy what real peace looks like. Unji smiled sadly. So they made sure we stayed small, weak, forgettable. But why did Biol choose me? I'm not special. Unji laughed. You're a man who risked everything to protect an innocent life. A man who inspired hundreds to remember their courage. A man who stayed kind and good even after 8 years of being treated as invisible. If that's not special, I don't know what is. Through his bond, Day One felt Biol's agreement. She had never doubted him. Not for a moment. There's more, Unji said, her voice dropping. Biol isn't the only egg. There are 6 more hidden across the galaxy. Each one is waiting for the right human to find it. 6 more? Day One's heart raced. The dragons hid their eggs before they disappeared. They placed them where they would be safe. And they left them with one instruction: wait for humans to be ready. Wait for humans to remember. How do we find them? Unji pointed at Biol, who was playing with children in the square. The dragon was gentle with them, letting them touch her scales and climb on her back. She knows. She can sense her siblings. It's time to wake them all up. That night, Day One couldn't sleep. He stood on a balcony looking at the stars. Biol lay beside him, her massive head resting on the railing. 6 more eggs, he said to her. 6 more dragons. 6 more partners. Through their bond, she sent him images. Other people across the galaxy. A young woman working in a factory. A man farming on a colony world. A teacher in a small school. Ordinary people doing ordinary things. People who had kind hearts and strong spirits. People who were ready to be chosen. Can we do this? Day One asked. Can we really change the galaxy? Biol's answer was simple. She showed him an image of himself. Not the janitor who cleaned floors. The man who had protected her. The man who had inspired others. The man who had stood against an empire. That man could do anything. A voice spoke behind him. Beautiful night. Day One turned. A woman stood there, wearing a hooded cloak. She pulled the hood back, revealing a face he didn't recognize. She looked about 30, with sharp eyes and a sad smile. Who are you? He asked. My name is Sora. I'm the one who left the egg in your locker. Day One's breath caught. You wrote the note. Yes. Sora walked to the railing and looked out at the city. I was a scientist at the research facility where they kept Biol's egg. When I learned they planned to destroy it, I couldn't let that happen. But I couldn't keep it safe myself. I needed someone else. Someone better. Why me? I watched you for months through the station's cameras. I saw how you treated people. You helped an alien child find her mother when everyone else walked past. You shared your food with hungry workers. You stood up to a supervisor who was bullying a new employee. You were kind when you didn't have to be. You did the right thing even when nobody was watching. Sora looked at him. Void dragons bond with people who have pure intentions. I thought I was nobody. You were never nobody. You just hadn't realized your worth yet. Sora reached into her pocket and pulled out a data chip. This has coordinates for the 6 other eggs. I've been tracking them for years. The council doesn't know where they are yet, but they're looking. You need to find them first. Day 1 took the chip. Will you come with us? No. My part is done. This is your journey now. You and Biol, and whoever else you choose to bring. She smiled. I'll be watching, though. We all will. Every human who still believes we can be more than what they made us. Sora left quietly, disappearing into the night like a ghost. Day 1 stood there, holding the chip, feeling the weight of what came next. The next morning, he gathered everyone in the main square. Hana, Minho, G1, and dozens of others who had fled the station. He told them about the 6 eggs, about the mission, about what it would mean. It's going to be dangerous, he said. The council will hunt us. We'll be running forever. We might not survive. When you say we, does that mean you want us to come? Hana asked. If you're willing, Hana grinned. I didn't come all this way to stop now. I'm in, Minho said immediately. Someone needs to keep you all alive, G1 added. One by one, people volunteered. Not everyone. Some wanted to stay in New Haven and build a life here. That was fine. But enough people stepped forward. Enough to crew a ship. Enough to find the eggs. Enough to change everything. They prepared for a week. New Haven provided them with a ship, nothing fancy, but it was fast and reliable. They loaded supplies and equipment. They studied the coordinates, and they trained with Biol, learning how to work with a dragon. On the day they left, the entire city came to see them off. Unji gave Day 1 a final gift, a book of the ancient texts about humans and dragons. So you remember what you're fighting for, she said. Day 1 hugged her. Thank the janitor in you, Unji said. He knew how to see what others missed. He knew how to clean up the messes nobody else wanted to deal with. That's what you're doing now, cleaning up the council's mess. The ship lifted off with Biol flying alongside. They climbed through the atmosphere and into the darkness of space. Below, New Haven grew smaller. Above, the stars waited. Hana sat in the pilot's seat. First, coordinates? Day 1 checked the data chip. A research station near the Crimson Nebula. There's someone there who needs us. What makes you say that? Just a feeling. He touched his chest, where Biol's presence lived in his mind. She's scared. Whoever she is, she's been scared for a long time. It's time for her to stop being afraid. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, Harmony's Edge continued to orbit its world. Commander Tae-sung watched from his office window as news spread across the galaxy. The humans had a dragon. The old stories were true. Everything was about to change. In the lower levels, in the janitor's closet, someone had written a message on the wall. The invisible ones are rising. Across the galaxy, in factories and farms and forgotten corners, humans heard the stories and felt something stir. Hope, possibility, courage. On the research station near the Crimson Nebula, a young woman named Bo-Ra finished her shift and opened her locker. Inside, wrapped in cloth, was an egg. It pulsed, with inner light. Beside, it was a note. She picked up the note with shaking hands and read, "They will kill it, because of what it represents. You will protect it, because of who you are. Trust your instincts. The egg has chosen you. Help is coming." Bo-Ra looked at the egg. Then she looked at the stars beyond her window. Somewhere out there, she knew, other humans were flying free. Other humans were remembering what they could be. She wrapped the egg carefully in her jacket and held it close. "I'll keep you safe," she whispered. "Whatever it takes." The egg pulsed warmly in response. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, Biol roared with joy. Her sister was waking up. The dragons were returning. and the humans who had forgotten they were guardians were finally coming home. The janitor and his dragon flew on, carrying hope through the darkness. Behind them, an empire trembled. Ahead of them, 6 eggs waited to hatch, and all across the galaxy, ordinary people prepared to do extraordinary things. The age of humans and dragons had begun again, and this time, nobody would make them forget.